Hey everyone, in this video, we're going to look at 4 different ways in which we can turn surface models into solids in under 5 minutes. If you want to follow along, go to the description of the video and download the dataset that you see here. Now, this is a common problem whenever we're designing and we need to use surfaces in addition to solid models. Surfaces open up a lot of flexibility, allowing us to design individual faces or add complexity where solid tools may just be a little too difficult. So in this example, we have a set of surface handles that overlap a solid body, and we want to look at how to turn them into one single solid body. The first and most common way is to use surface tools such as patch to fill in the end of our surface, and then we can stitch that together to create a closed watertight volume. Whenever we're using the stitch tool and we have a closed volume, Fusion 360 will automatically turn that into a solid body. Then we simply need to use our Boolean combine tool to combine them together, and now we have a single solid body. What we're going to do here is hide the solid body and move on to the next example, which is arguably a bit easier. Under the Create menu for both solid and surface tools, we have something called Boundary Fill. Now, Boundary Fill allows us to use solid bodies, surfaces, and even planes, select the cells that we want to keep or remove, and even remove the tools that were used to create them, and turn them into solid bodies. This is a great tool for complex modeling, things like mold cavities. You can see here that with a single tool, we're able to get rid of 4 additional features. We don't have to patch or stitch things together, and we don't have to use combine. So boundary fill in this case is probably the easiest method. But now let's talk about the most complex method. Now under our surface tools, we have a tool called Unstitch. We're going to turn off chain selection and unstitch a face on our solid body. What this does is it's going to convert it to a set of surfaces. The original plate now contains 5 faces, which we're going to hide temporarily. We're going to go to our trim tool, we're going to select our handle, rotate around, and remove the inside areas of that plate. We're going to repeat that using our right-click marking menu, this time using the plate as our trim tool, and removing the overlapping sections of the handle. Now, if we bring the plate back and we use our stitch tool, we'll combine those 5 faces, the original unstitched face, and the handle. Because this is now a closed volume, once we say OK, Fusion will turn this into a solid body. So that's 3 different methods to achieve the same end goal. We're able to use the patch and stitch tools to create the first iteration and combine it with a solid body. We're able to use boundary fill in a much quicker and easier solution in this case. And then we were able to use tools like Unstitch, which allowed us to trim the overlapping sections between our surfaces, stitch them together, and create a closed solid volume. Now, each of these methods has their pros and cons. Patching and stitching is probably the easiest method to follow. Boundary fill, once the designs start to get more complex, becomes trickier, but it is a great option, especially for complex things like mold cavities. The last option of turning our solid bodies into surfaces, trimming the overlapping sections, and stitching it all together is the most complex, but arguably the most flexible. Now, I use that method all the time when designing plastic injection molded parts because oftentimes we need to create little features or surfaces, and it's just much easier for us to do that on individual face basis. Now, the last method that we want to talk about is thicken. And the reason I didn't use this in the traditional way is because the handle that we have, the curvature going into the end, is not tangent or normal to the plane used to create that end section. Now, the problem this creates for us is when we use thicken, and we begin to thicken this outward, you can see that the curvature, or at least the thicken direction, is normal to the shape of our handle. While that's fine in the middle of the handle, when we look at it on the ends, that is problematic because it no longer has a nice smooth overlap. While thicken is a great tool for things like injection molded parts to keep a consistent wall thickness, we always have to be careful on the ends of those parts. Make sure that you use things like trim or that you extend them up to a cutting plane or your parting surface whenever you're trying to use the thicken tool. Now, out of all 4 of these methods, which one do you use and which one do you find the most useful for your own designs? So leave a comment below, let us know, and as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.